How much protein do you need per day? And is it the same when you're bulking as it is when you are trying to lose weight? To help you work it out, I've built a protein intake calculator to account for all scenarios. In this video, I'll reference the studies I used so you can understand how the calculator was built. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell to make sure you don't miss any videos in this series. This video is all about protein intake. We'll take a look at the calculator together and I'll walk you through all the different options and how they work. In the description below, you will find a link to the protein calculator, so you can open that and follow along with the video. Each option you select will have an impact on the overall protein figure at the bottom. So let's go through each section one by one and see what they all mean. At the top, you will find the metric option. You can select whether you want to input your details in pounds or kilograms. Essentially, all the other calculations will be the same. It just depends on how you prefer to see your results. And make sure that if you're selecting, pounds at the top, that you're entering your weight in pounds further down the calculator. The body fat known field is so we can get an idea of the lean body mass. The calculator works on lean body mass, so any changes to the body fat percentage will affect the final output number. Lower body fat percentages mean more lean mass, and many of the studies used to build this calculator rely on how much protein is required per pound of lean mass, as opposed to your total weight. So knowing your body fat percentage is important. If you're not sure of your body fat percentage and want to estimate it, you can take a look at my body fat percentages video, which looks at me at different body fat percentages. So I'll link that in the description as well. And if I remember, you might probably see it come up in the corner, so you can click through there. You can also use calipers or a tape measure to get an estimate of your body fat. Calipers and tape measure tend to underestimate our body fat percentage. So yes, if you add, I'd say 5% to anything you get from a caliper or tape measure measurement when you use the calculator. One of the studies I looked at from 2013 found that the leaner we are, the more protein is required. The authors of this study suggest that protein intake should be scaled upwards, in line with the severity of caloric restriction and leanness. The next field on the calculator is your training requirements. So the level of protein you require will be dependent on your goal. For instance, if you are a professional cyclist, you are going to need more protein than the average person, but certainly less than a bodybuilder or a professional powerlifter. The options you can select here are none. This means that if you're not training, the standard government and nutritional guideline recommendation should be fine. Endurance, select this if you're taking part in endurance-based exercise. The recommendations here are that you should consume between 1 and 1.6 grams of protein per kilo of body weight, as referenced in this 2004 study. The next option is hypertrophy or strength. I guess a lot of the people watching this video are probably in this category, so this is the one you'll select here. As you might expect, this is the group who require the highest level of protein. The studies I looked at found that greater than 4.4 grams per kilo per day, or 2 grams per pound, was of no benefit in strength and hypertrophy, and that 3.4 grams per kilo was of benefit compared to 2.3 grams per kilo. These findings led me to the higher number of 3 grams per kilogram of body weight. The next field is sex. So it has been shown that males do require slightly more protein than females. It's not a massive amount, so the differences you'll find here are not going to be huge. Your body fat percentage, training frequency, and all those kinds of things are going to have a much greater impact on the final calculation. The next element of the calculator is whether you are restricting calories. Studies such as the previously mentioned 2013 one by Helms and colleagues suggest that those restricting calories will require a higher amount of protein. After this, we find the field for how often you train per week. The more you train, the more protein the body will require. So if you up that number from 3 or 4 to 5 times per week, you'll notice the final protein number increasing as well. The next field on the calculator is the body weight, and this one will have the biggest impact on the final calculation. Just be sure that the number you enter here is in line with whether you're measuring in kilograms or pounds. The next field is body fat percentage. Earlier on, I talked about the body fat known field. So if you've changed that to yes, just remember to enter your body fat percentage here, otherwise it will just default to 20%. Once you've entered all your details, you can hit the calculate button. Here you'll discover how much protein you need per day, no matter who you are or what your training goals are. Generally speaking, the 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight is actually a good rule of thumb. It should cover most scenarios and make sure you're getting enough protein. However, when cutting down, we don't want to compromise other macros such as carbs and fats. So using the calculator, we make sure we get a much more accurate reading here. So if you're looking to get lean and shredded, be sure to check out the anabolic cutting series on my YouTube channel. If you're new to lifting and you've got quite a lot of fat to shed, I would suggest instead looking at the body recomposition series. For people at the start of their journey, recomposition is a much more efficient way of doing things where you'll be able to lose fat and build muscle at the same time. Whereas the anabolic cutting is assuming we've kind of been lifting for a while and built some muscle mass up first. Usually people who just kind of finished a bulk and want to start getting shredded for either like a bodybuilding competition or for summer or your own personal reasons. As I said earlier, be sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell, and leave any questions in the comments below, and I'll answer them as soon as I can.